American brethren will fall after being attacked by the steel birds. The 44th President of the United States will be an African American man. Everyone will put their hopes in him. This is not just me saying stuff, that ain't a video. These were predictions made by a Bulgarian woman in 1989. As impressive as her predictions are, it is what she says will happen in the year 2025 that is terrifying. Vanga Pandeva Gushtarova, also known as Baba Vanga, luckily for me, was born in Bulgaria in 1911. She lived a poor, rudimentary life, growing up in what is now North Macedonia. Her mother died when she was 3, and her father was sent to fight in World War I. She spent much of her youth alone, relying on the charitable behaviour of her community to look after her. It was a very tough childhood. Then, in 1923, at the age of 12, a life-changing event would occur. A tornado lifted her into the air and threw her into a nearby field. Presumed dead, she was thankfully found alive, terrified, but found with her eyes covered with sand and dust. The pain in her eyes was so great that she couldn't open them. She would never open them again. Vanga was later declared blind due to her injuries. But she would soon develop a very different kind of sight, the ability to foresee the future. She started to have dreams about incredible things that she just could not comprehend. In 1925, she was sent to a school for the blind in the city of Zemun, in now what is Serbia. At age 16, she made her first correct prediction about a local election. As the years went on, she returned to her village, and the legend that is Baba Vanga was born. She would hear voices, talk to the dead, and predict the future. She would help locals find their lost cattle. They were exactly where she told them, every time. Families would visit her asking if their loved ones would return healthy from war. Again, she was correct every time. When people needed guidance, they would visit Baba Vanga. There are stories about when certain people would visit her, she would give no advice and ask them to come back in a few months. Those people were said to have passed away in those months. Baba Vanga knew. The fame of the blind seer living in a rural village outgrew the village, and her fame became so great that she was visited in 1942 by Bulgarian Tsar Boris III during the Second World War. She was also enlisted as an advisor to the Bulgarian Communist Party. After a life filled with prophecy and predictions, Baba Vanga would die on 11th August 1996, age 84. But she left a legacy of predictions of what is to come. She foretold the 44th President of the United States being an African American man, the tragic day of 9/11. In 1980, Baba Vanga said that in 1999 Kursk would be covered with water and the whole world will weep over it. In August 2000, the Russian nuclear submarine Kursk sank in the Barents Sea. 118 crew members lost their lives. She was 1 year out, but still an uncanny prediction. She stated that Europe will cease to exist by 2017. Brexit happened in 2016. She also correctly predicted the date of Stalin's death and the death of Princess Diana. She even predicted her own death 1 month before she passed away due to breast cancer, down to the exact day that she would leave the world. So what did Baba Vanga predict for this year, 2024? She says that Putin will be assassinated, a big country will carry out biological weapon attacks, a huge economic crisis, new treatments for Alzheimer's and cancer. But it is what Baba Vanga says is coming in 2025 which is the most chilling. The joyful prediction of the beginning of the end times? She said that a series of events including conflict in Europe will trigger the irreversible decline of the world's population. Here are some of her other predictions. In 2028, she says that humans will explore Venus as an energy source. In 2130, humans will make contact with aliens. I'm going to miss that one, not fair. Can I last till 2100? Nah, probably not. 3797, humans will vacate Earth as it becomes uninhabitable. And in 5079, the world will end. Lovely. Such is the legacy of Baba Vanga that her house in Petric is now a museum and a popular attraction for visitors. As fun as all of this is, and we can attribute some predictions correctly to her, Perhaps. Even those are vague. Obama is the impressive one. But she also stated that the 44th president would be the last ever president. And of course, he wasn't. She said this would happen due to some type of civil war breaking out in the United States. Her believers will say, well, a type of war has broken out online between different political parties. Her skeptics will say, she was just wrong. With a lot of people who predict the future, their statements are vague enough that they can be attributed to specific events. For example, I could say that in the year 2025 there will be a mass loss of life in Europe, and I'm sure that you will find something in the news next year that you could attribute to my prediction. With all these alleged future tellers, I see a real lack of specific details in their statements. And there isn't any written proof at all of what Baba Vanga allegedly said. It's all word of mouth of things that she was supposed to have said to her followers. She was of course blind and semi-literate, so perhaps not writing anything down would be expected. The quotes I used at the beginning of the video are quotes you will find online attributed to her, but again, you will not find an original document as the source. Even her life story is hard to validate. Much of what is said of her is in the world of folklore. Does that mean it's not true? Well, no, but we have to be careful when telling the story. People have taken the persona of Baba Vanga and run with it online, attributing all sorts of modern events to her. To this day, 30 years after her death, you will find media articles on all sorts of events that are happening attributed to her predictions, which probably says more about the state of journalism than her, but I digress. The waters have been so muddied online that it's hard to actually know what she said and what she didn't. And some of the predictions which are attributed to her are just plain fantasy. For example, Princess Diana's death. Here is the alleged Baba Vanga quote: "We will die together. She will hear of my death, but we will die together." People who say that this correctly predicted Diana's death will take that statement and say they died in the same month of different years, so they died together. Diana died a year after Baba Vanga, so would have heard about Baba Vanga's death, and they both died, making connections that just simply aren't there. For the Kursk submarine, skeptics would say that she was talking about the city of Kursk in Russia being underwater in the year 2000, which never happened. Her supporters will say that she was talking about the submarine Kursk. She was a year out, but an incredible prediction. For Stalin's death, again, there is no evidence that she actually predicted that date. Was Brexit, that people attribute to her saying Europe will end by 2017, the end of Europe? Again, open for interpretation. Her believers will say that she had to be cryptic in her predictions to give just enough information, but to not give too much that could change the future. The butterfly effect, don't touch anything. And Baba Vanga predicted a lot of things which just simply didn't happen. I put a few of them here.
The 1994 World Cup final will be between two teams beginning with the letter B. A nuclear war from 2010 to 2014. In 2023, designer babies will be grown in labs who can select their characteristics.
There are dozens and dozens of other simply incorrect predictions. She said in 2021 there will be a cure for cancer. Whilst I don't believe in mystics, there is still something chilling about her predictions. Perhaps it is our need to try and make sense out of the world, to try and reduce the uncertainties and chaos of the world that leads us to following these people's predictions. YouTube is full of fantastical Baba Vanga titled videos, which have a lot of content in them, but not a lot of integrity. And bless her, this is perhaps less of a critique of her, but the way that social media can take someone or something and sensationalize it. Maybe becoming a seer helped her to overcome the tragic loss of her eyesight. I don't know. And by all intents and purposes, she was a sweet woman. May Baba Vanga rest in peace. I for one hope that she isn't right about 2025. Is she?